file is, and it's going to create a prefab which has that mesh inside it. So it's going to know about where the star mesh generator is going to save the mesh, and then it's going to create a prefab. Okay, that's pretty much everything. Now we will also need to create an asset utility class. Asset utility. That's going to help us to delete assets, to save assets, and just do a few little functions with assets. All right, so yeah, so next up we're going to create this star mesh generator and create our meshes. So once again, before we start, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. If we go ahead and jump into our assets folder and our scripts, we have these database loaders. We're going to eventually be creating quite a few folders. So I'm going to put these in their own folder. Keep things nice and neat. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to rename our scriptable objects folder. That's a bit ambiguous. So I'm just going to call that procedural assets, which really means that we're using code to generate all the information that's stored inside that folder. All right, now with that, we can go ahead and start coding. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder in our scripts, and this is going to be called our asset generators. Now in this video, we're really going to be creating the meshes, but we'll also be creating a lot of the framework for stuff we'll be using later down the road. So I'm going to create our asset generator file. Wait, sorry, this is going to bug me. A bit of a, what do you call it, OCD, asset dash generators. Folders have the dashes and scripts don't. That's how I sort of think about it. Asset generator.cs. Okay, so this is going to be our static, it's not a static, our abstract class. It's going to use Unity engine. Yes, it is, because it's going to inherit from scriptable object. And it's going to be public abstract class asset generator. All right. Now, so each of these asset generators is going to, we're going to have a generate button, and when we press that, it's going to, wherever we have our folder, we'll have our folder path, wherever this folder path points to, we're going to delete everything inside that folder, and we're going to put our own assets inside it. So I'm going to make that public. We're going to have a public void generate. And we're also going to have a protected abstract void. Abstract meaning that anyone who inherits from this asset generator class needs to implement this function. And this is going to be called generate assets. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to call generate assets. But before we do, for every class that implements this system, we're going to delete any assets that are already in this folder path. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create an assets utility, and that assets utility is going to delete all the assets in this folder. So I'll just leave a little comment here: delete assets first. Okay, go into utilities. Create our asset utility .cs. It's going to be a public static class asset utility. It's going to use Unity engine as well as Unity editor. And we're going to have a function in this class. It's going to be called clear asset path, or clear asset folder. So it's going to be public static void clear asset folder. It's going to pass in a string, which will be our asset, our folder path. Now, how do we do this in Unity? What do we got to do? Well, first of all, we've got to look in that folder path. We've got to get all the assets in that folder. and then we're gonna delete all of them. So how we're gonna do that is